Hello and welcome. Earlier this year, I bought an aluminum frame Mongoose Dolomite ALX fat tire bike. Now, I absolutely love riding this bike. It comes from the factory with a 2x8 Microshift drivetrain with an actual cassette, and that's as compared to the steel Dolomite's freewheel. And the 22-tooth small chainring makes climbing much more manageable. And as it turns out, in practice, I spend most of my rides on this bike on the smaller chainring, saving the 36-tooth large chainring for the flats. And speaking of rides, the ALX is a great climber and a good enough descender, as seen in this footage from earlier this year. Running 8 psi in the front and 8.5 psi in the rear gives enough simulated suspension to make the descents comfortable. And as I mentioned earlier, the 22-tooth chainring makes climbing easier. But you know, there's something lacking. A dropper post. I have the seat post set at what I guess you could call a compromised position. It's not really as high as I would like it for climbing. I can't get my full leg extension. And it's not low enough that I can completely get the family valuables, as it were, away from the saddle. However, I have a KS E10 external dropper that's left over from upgrading my specialized Rockhopper to an internal. But it's a 30.9 millimeter diameter post, whereas the ALX has a 31.6 millimeter seat tube. I found a solution, and I will give my post-installation ride review later in the video. First, let's review what I have modified so far, which really isn't a lot. The first thing I changed were the stock rubber grips for ESI Super Chunky foam grips, which I really like. These make my wrists feel a lot better. I then installed a 45mm wake stem to shorten the reach of the stock 85mm stem, giving me a more upright riding posture, which is better for my back. And the last current mod is a set of Rock Bros alloy pedals. Honestly, I got these because the black and silver graphics match the bike. But they turned out to be really good pedals. Not a mod per se, but you can see this bike does get ridden, as I did lay it down once in some gravel and scratch the fork. The bike, much like the rider, has trail scars. The key to this installation of an improperly sized seat post is a Fourier's stem adapter, linked in the description. The installation is pretty self-explanatory, so I'll be back in a bit. The installation was a total success. The Fourier's adapter has a lip on its top, so you can't lose it down the seat tube, at least not without really trying. A little bit of grease on the outer surface of the adapter and the post ensure that there won't be any corrosion later on, and really that's something that you should do with any seat post installation. The PNW trigger and cable were also a breeze to install and set up, and after a little bit of fine-tuning, that system works really great. And of course, as they say, the proof is in the pudding. The KS E10 has only 100 millimeters of travel, but A, 100 millimeters of travel beats 0, B, I already owned it, and C, I maximized the travel by not slamming the seat post all the way down into the seat tube. And I'll tell you what, it worked great on the trail. No more catching my butt on the saddle during descents, and at full extension I got the best effect from my legs that I could. All in all, for 13 bucks, this was a really good investment that enabled me to reuse a dropper post that otherwise would have just gathered dust. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. That really does help the channel. Below left is a link to the ALX's playlist, and below right is a link to another video that I think you'll enjoy. And as always, thanks for watching. I do appreciate that. Goodbye and have a great day.